The Auburn Woods is a place that many parents tell their children about in the hopes of sequestering them to the seemingly safe confines of Aurophia. The same few words are used to describe it, as if there is an irreverent and oddly resilient game of Chinese whispers being played. Out of these parents, exactly none of them have been to the Auburn Woods themselves. They repeat the story passed on through their parents who passed on the story they heard from their friends, etc., ad nauseum. One question these children often think alongside,
"When will you finally shut up and buy me that toy I've always wanted?"
is,
"Where did that story originate? Where did it come from? Has anyone actually been to the Auburn Woods?"
Aurus opens his eyes to a dark sky and dead trees watching over him. A wooden, thin and frail hand from the darkness extends its hand to help pick Aurus up. Aurus stares frantically all around, at the trees, at the dead sky, at his body. And that is when he sees the cost of his deal. His body is shrouded in a smoky black veil, a normal human body tinted with a black and continuous supply of faint black fog emanating from it. The feeling of being in such a body is different from a human one, understandably so. You have no need to breathe, and so don't. You have no need to eat, and so don't. You have no need to drink or sleep or experience any of the necessities humans must face. Aurus is not invincible, however. He still experiences the same fragility we always do. No more is that evident than what happens next. Aurus accepts the hand coming from the darkness and pulls himself back up. Walking is still a foreign concept to him, and as such takes a few steps before falling over flat on his face. His face bleeds, and not the dark red we are all familiar with, but a black ooze ichor that soils itself into the ground. Luckily, his small wounds patch up rather quickly. As Aurus stands up again, he notices that faces are visible everywhere. Animated faces, similar to the faces you see on jack-o'-lanterns, gaze down at Aurus in despair. They moan and groan and yet say nothing. It's almost silent, if it weren't for the incessant, incomprehensible whispers that blanket the silence with a harrowing feeling. Aurus yells out, except he doesn't hear his voice, nor anyone else's, but what he does hear is the same hello echoed back to him in an unlimited number of variations. The young girl's voice is audible, or is it an old man, or is it a dragon?
Follow.
A voice says, it's unclear what form this voice takes. It's every voice and yet no voice. It's high and yet it's low. It's in front of him and all around, an infinite yet finite composite of every voice together. Aurus trepidly steps on the path that is laid out in front of him. He walks and walks and walks, all the while observing the animated mouth speak no words, and yet constant whispers form in his mind. After what seems like an eternity, the pathway opens up to a small opening, and an old man and a young girl are visible. They are one and the same, and the dense fog combined makes it difficult to observe the true form. Eventually, it settles on the old man, a human brandishing a spear and shield. They yell, but no words come out of their mouth. The haze and white over their eyes seem to make them blind to Aurus's arrival. The voice speaks. What? No, I refuse to kill him. What the fuck is this anyway? I'm not going to kill him.
Wake up, Aurus. I'm not done with you yet.
Aurus opens his eyes to a dark sky and dead trees watching over him. A wooden hand from the darkness extends a hand to help pick Aurus up. It then retreats into the darkness. What the fuck is this? Nuns, is this another one of your stupid fucking pranks? He cries out, and it only feeds back into his whispers as it becomes the sole thing he hears. Quickly becomes unbearable until it all subsides temporarily. A woman appears in front of Aurus. The spirit of the forest has decided upon a form, the same woman who destroyed Aurophia in the visions of the deities. She speaks in a soft yet sinister tone.
You're afraid of this one. She scares you.
Why are you messing with my mind? What have you to gain from this? The woman walks closer. Blonde hair, a black robe with an excessive yet attractive looking headpiece, a face so enchanting that it would make all creatures from all species quiver and bow down. She walks forward with an unusual grace and a deft confidence.
What is it about this one that scares you?
The woman steps no more than a feet away from Aurus.
You feel like you won't win. You feel like you will bow down and lose against her. So many others have tried and failed.
Aurus pushes her away, yet the woman catches herself on Aurus's arm. She pulls herself closer. She brings her lips closer, dark in an exaggerated shade. She whispers in Aurus's ear.
You are right to be afraid.
Her hand thrusts a dagger grabbed from the darkness into Aurus's chest. Aurus catches the wrist of the woman in a nick of time, barely struggling to resist against her supernatural strength. The woman's face shapeshifts into a disgusting abomination, every face that he has ever seen before, all composited into one image in an attempt to distract Aurus. He manages to push her away using a free hand and attempts to gain some distance. The woman runs for Aurus with a beast-like intensity. She collapses onto all fours and howls like a beast. Aurus runs anywhere and everywhere. This forest is a maze, and all the while a vicious beast is chasing him. The woman howls one last time, and a row of trees form in front of Aurus. He collides with them and falls to the ground, dazed and ultimately defeated. The woman walks over to Aurus. She climbs on top of him and kneels down so that she may see the look on Aurus's face as she brandishes the steel serrated dagger with two hands and plunges the dagger into Aurus's heart. With a coy and pleased smile as she does so, Aurus screams, and yet no words come out. The last thing he hears is... Aurus opens his eyes to a dark sky and dead trees watching over him. A wooden hand from the darkness extends their hand to help pick Aurus up, and the wooden hand retreats into the darkness. Aurus looks all around. It seems empty and quiet, and yet a sinister feeling envelops him. Adrenaline rising, blood pumping as he frantically looks for an exit. All the while a never-ending feed of laughter echoes in his mental chamber. He runs into the trees. It's painful, crossing barbed wire at what Aurus hopes is breakneck speed. He looks behind him. His wife, slowly walking through the thistles and thorns, brandishing a psychotic smile with an equally psychotic dagger. He runs until his wife screams and plunges him in the back with a dagger. After that point, he tries everything. He fights, he screams, he runs, he tries to play the same sadistic fucked up game the spirit wants to play. Nothing works. The end is never the end, it's never the end, it's never the end, it's never the end. It seems inevitable then, that anyone who has the misfortune to step into the Auburn Woods would find themselves stuck there forever. How do you beat and overcome an opponent where it knows your every move and can beat you at every turn? The answer? Aurus stares ahead into the endless sky and rejects the hand that offers to pick him up. A woman stabs him, a man kicks him, a child yells obscenities inappropriate for their age at him. It continues staring into the sky and dying as many times as the woods wants him to. It seems like an eternity of endless killing and torture and vivisection until the skies begin to clear the more Aurus begins to focus. It's almost like a meditative trance. Aurus focuses and ignores all the distractions the forest wants to present him. All the pain and suffering. gone. Over the course of roughly an hour, the skies begin to brighten. They return to their bright blue shade, and the trees begin to regain their foliage and their vibrance. The forest has returned to its docile state. Aurus picks himself up and starts walking down the path in front of him, leading him out the Auburn Woods with a newfound state of mind.